Hey there, how's it going? I'm Aaron and I like to fish bait finesse style. That's basically ultralight bait casting. Today I've actually got a new setup out on the water. This is the Daiwa Gekkabijin, and I'm actually going to be using a little bit different technique. What I'm trying to do is float fish with various microplastics. You know, I've also got some flies and maybe we'll be able to catch some fish. I was down here about a month ago for the first time. This is the Yak River. It's absolutely beautiful scenery. The water is up a little bit. It's cooler and swifter than it was. We've had sort of low temperatures for August, well, really low temperatures. It's only about 63 degrees right now. It'll get up into the low 70s today. But when I came down, I was after smallmouth. I just saw all kinds of trout. I tried to come back down and see if we can't do a little bit of float fishing, almost like maybe a float and fly type approach with bait finesse. So let's get to the first cast with the new Daiwa Gekkabijin. With this double down rod, one of the things I was curious about was whether or not my bobber stop would actually pass through the eyelets. I've got this set, you know, maybe eight inches deep because the water is fairly shallow where I'm starting. But I haven't even made a cast with this rod and reel combo. I've got the brakes set a little high. Feels like I need to drop them down a little bit. Need to catch up with my bobber here. Let's see. That looks pretty good. Okay, drop them down a little bit more. One potential problem is it doesn't look like the float is, I don't know if I'm going to need a little bit more weight to get that to drop down. Because right now this is a 1/80th of an ounce jig head for mule fishing. I'm not quite getting the distance I'd hope to get, and also the jig is not dropping down into the water. Almost lost one of my Nikko plastics, so I'm going to throw a little split shot on here. Seems like the float is sticking right here on the jig. I feel like if I can get this figured out, this sort of solves like the last piece of what I haven't been able to use bait finesse for. This particular float is not wanting to move up, and in fact, I don't know why it's not wanting to slide up there. Okay, so what we've done now is just gone to sort of a very basic fly fishing style football indicator. My big question on this is whether or not I can actually cast it, you know. So that was better. But I mean, right now this this little stonefly jig, it looks pretty good. Maybe loosen the spool tension a little bit. So honestly, that's not horrible distance for as lightweight as I'm throwing, but I'd really like to find a little bit more. You know, if I'm being honest, any kind of float fishing I've ever done, it's never been simple to cast any kind of distance, you know. But that's getting better. The amount of flow today has made getting to this spot a little bit more challenging, but we're gonna see if we can't make something happen here. I mean, this is really zooming super fast. I think we got something. Need to tighten the. Yep, there's definitely a fish on there. There's definitely a fish on. I was just watching for the float to go down. I think it's a little smallie. It's a little smallie. Okay. Oh man, he's strong for a little guy. Okay, well there was the fish. Oh, first fish. I don't know, let's see here. Basically, I was just letting it sort of drift on this seam right here as it goes down the current. I'm just keeping my thumb on the spool just to leave it a little bit of tension. Okay, well, now we're getting this figured out. I'm going to try a little bit bigger fly instead of a jig, and let's see what happens with that. So I picked up a lot of these flies from a local guy, and with the intent I was going to do more fly fishing this year. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll just start with like the good old woolly bugger. It's got a really nice pattern. It's got some UV material in there. Oh, thought I had a strike, but it disappeared behind one of the waves. And well, there was another strike. I felt it. There's definitely some potential with this. Letting it run with the current. So it's not entirely a free drift. You know, it's not, but I'm basically ready to turn the crank and set the hook if I need to. Okay, well, there's definitely potential with this technique. I'll take one or two more casts and then I'm probably just going to switch to the Helgrammite. I've been at it for about an hour. Now to just more traditional fishing. Tell you what, that thing felt like it kind of launched the Helgrammite a little bit. I didn't have the best cast because I was been really slinging that swinging the float. Now obviously in this swift current, the 1/10 ounce Helgrammite, it's really zooming, but it feels like I'm able to get, even just with easy casting, I'm getting pretty good distance. Last time I was here I wanted to fish this hole over here and I wasn't able to get enough distance to get over there, so we'll see if we can get into that today. Some of it will probably depend on the wind. And then I'm going to move out of this swift water because it's definitely not the easiest place to try to catch fish out of. I tell you what, the amount of movement on that tip, I kind of feel like I'm going to feel every possible bite. So far I'm not quite getting enough to get all the way over into that. Move. Nope, I'm not going to move much more. It's deeper than I thought. You know, and the Helgrammite's not the most aerodynamic lure, you know, so. Okay, well so far I'm not lighting it up with the float method, float and fly, whatever you want to call it. So I have switched back to the Helgrammite. I'm going to start working down this deeper section, get out of the rapids since the water is a little bit swifter than it was the last time I was here, and see if we can't just put a little bit of a test on this rod and reel combo. Okay, well this is a nice surprise. I had forgotten that I had the Jackal Dara spinner baits in there still. So let's see if something moving with a little bit of flash can't get it done. You know, I've only got one of these with me, but might as well give it a try. Nothing else is working today. Oh, I thought we had something. So I tell you what, this dark sleeper is supposed to be pretty much weedless, and some people say snag proof, but I think I only had 3 of the original ones, 3 or 4. The last one I tied on, I lost on the second cast. Same thing, it hung up in a situation like this. And now this one, this is what, cast number 3? And it broke off. Last thing I can think to try is just a wacky rigged. This is actually, these might even be vintage Senkos. This is the pumpkin with black flake, and I've got some green watermelon or something yum dingers. So, well, in general, this has been a pretty disappointing trip. But once I put the wacky rig on, I started thinking about, you know, usually I like to fish that in slower water. So there's a lake that I've never fished that is, almost fell over. It's fairly close. It's on the way home. So I think I'm just going to stop there. Let's see if we can't put a few bass or something on this setup to actually see what it feels like. Really didn't plan on hiking today, but I think it's the only way to this other side. In a lot of ways, this reminds me of my home lake that I don't love, but I have fished it quite often. It's a small little impoundment. This lake is definitely built for recreation. So let's go see if we can't catch a few. I will say that this reel, the Gekkabijin reel, feels very, very smooth. You know, when I'm just doing a steady retrieve like this with the spinnerbait, I really notice how smooth the reel is. I have to compare it to the Aldebaran at some point. Right now it feels smoother, which is saying a lot. And unlike the Alphas Air that just felt like it had extra play in the retrieve, so that, like I said, it felt clunky and mechanical. You know, this one is just, I don't want to say buttery smooth because it's such a cliche, but it's pretty much buttery smooth. It's really, really nice. Well, I'm pretty much out of time, so that'll do it. It's basically became a first impressions video of like, hey, what do I think of the rod and reel combo? Really wish we would have caught some fish to you know, really test it, but I like it. I'll be taking it out the next few times. As normal, I try to take a new setup out a few times to get some fish caught on it, but now I gotta hightail it back to my truck because I'm already half an hour late and I'm still probably an hour and a half from home. So, you know, maybe next time. But even though I didn't catch anything, it's a Wednesday afternoon now. It was a Wednesday morning and I was fishing, and that is so much better than being at work. So thanks for being out here with me, and I'll see you next time. Okay, back through the bug section.